Hello and welcome to the poem reading and question and answer of my Fire Emblem 0% Growth Slow Turn Count playthrough. So without further ado, I will be reading poems to the winners. So first, to Yojinbo. Today, Yojinbo and I are obliged to be romantic and think of yet another Valentine. Yojinbo and I know the rules and Yojinbo and I are both pedantic. Today's the day Yojinbo and I have to be romantic. Yojinbo and I's love is old and sure, not new and frantic. Yojinbo knows I'm his, and I know I'm Yojinbo's. And saying that has made me feel romantic. My dearest Yojinbo, my darling Valentine. So, sorry, need to find another poem. Okay, no, not that one. Okay, so, this one is dedicated to MomoGeek2141. Love is feeling cold neck bands. Love is a fan club with only two hands. Love is walking with MomoGeek2141 holding paint stained hands. Love is fish and chips on winter nights. Love is blankets full of strange lights. Love is when MomoGeek2141 don't put out the lights. Love is the presents in Christmas shops. Love is when MomoGeek2141 is feeling top of the pops. Love is what happens when the music stops. Love is white panties lying all forlorn. Love is pink night dresses still slightly warm. Love is when MomoGeek2141 has to leave at dawn. Love is MomoGeek2141 and love is me. Love is prison, love is free. Love is what's there when MomoGeek2141 is away from me. Love is. Let me think. Okay, who else do I need to read poems for? BBM. So, how do I love BBM? Let me count the ways. Wait. I love BBM to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight. For the ends of being an ideal grace. I love BBM to the level of everyday's most quiet need by sun and candlelight. I love BBM freely as men strive for right. I love BBM purely as they turn from praise. I love BBM with a passion put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood's faith. I love BBM with a love I seem to lose. With my lost saints, I love BBM with the breath, smiles, tears all of my life, and if God choose, I shall but love BBM better after death. And here's a final one, dedicated to Horus that most people will probably recognize. General Horus's eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is more red than General Horus's lips red. If snow be white, why then General Horus's breasts are dun. Hair be wires, black wires grow on General Horus's head. I've seen roses damasked red and white, but no such roses I see in General Horus's cheeks. And some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from General Horus. I love to hear General Horus speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. General Horus, when General Horus walks, treads on the ground, and yet by heaven, I think my love is rare, as any General Horus belied with false compare. So congratulations to the winners. Yeah, it's kind of lucky just trying to guess, because it's really hard to rank things in low turn count, but anyways, that's the final poem reading, but now I think I have to answer questions from the thread, so let me pull those up. And so MomoGeek2141, one of the viewers asked me how much time I spent per week on planning strategies, RNG abuse, and recording. I think it really depends, honestly. Like, I've really done this playthrough over such a long period of time. Like, I started playing this like a year ago, but then I lost interest at quite a few points and came back to it. So while I was actually recording this, I pretty much had my plans, my strategies all done. I did experiment a bit with cutting turns here and there, but the general overview and who got cash dumps when was already thought out. So it's really hard to say. It depends. I'm just lazy when it comes to recording. I hate recording. And what other Fire Emblem games do you play /like/hate? So after Fire Emblem 4, I like Radiant Dawn probably the most. Then after that, maybe Fire Emblem 7, then things are about equal. I like Fire Emblem 5's mechanics a lot, but I always found it a bit of a chore to play, and I really dislike Awakening. It's a decently made game, but I feel some things like grinding have no place in a Fire Emblem game, for me personally, so I just tend to stay away from that game. I don't like it as much. Also, I find that the difficulty when it exists isn't well designed, but don't want to get too much into that. And then Surmola asked me if I had any runs plans as scheduled after this, and I don't really know. I mean, the issue is that most games in the series are really well worked out by people like Don and Chicky and General Horace, so I kind of came into the LTC scene a bit late, so there isn't a whole lot left for me to do. Like, even what there is, I mean, Fire Emblem 6 is getting worked out as I speak, Fire Emblem 12, Lunatic Reverse is getting worked out. Who would ever want to do an LTC of Lunatic Plus and Fire Emblem 13? So there isn't a huge amount left for me to do. Like, yes, I could do Fire Emblem 2 or 3, but I don't enjoy those games enough to ever want to put that much effort into it. But so I'm thinking eventually I might turn to either hacking myself just as my thing in the community, or low turn counting hacks, because there's still potential for that, and wouldn't be the same as the games, but why not? But for now, the two things I've planned I'm thinking about are, at some point I want to do a Fire Emblem 4 warp glitch, return glitch, rescue glitch run. That would be a nice short run. I wouldn't have to plan too much. It would just be pretty much like Yojimbo's doing a Fire Emblem 4 low turn count playthrough, so it'd be me completely copying his strategies for the most part from the first generation, and then fixing a few things minor, and then thinking of a few minor plans in the second. So that wouldn't take long, it would be fun, but I'm pretty burnt out on Fire Emblem 4 for now. So I think my next run, what I'm currently like the sound of the most, is doing a Fire Emblem 5 warpless low turn count playthrough, simply because warp skipping doesn't really appeal to me. So it'd be kind of more like a GBA style game. It would be all about a bunch of rescue chains and the like. I probably would hack out those extra movement stars and movement growths, just because I don't want my whole playthrough to look like the last few chapters of Fire Emblem 6. But yeah, so that's currently what I'm looking at. The issue is I've only played Fire Emblem 5 a few times, so it'll probably take a while before I can start that run, because I need a better understanding of the game mechanics first, so I'll need to play it a lot. And then General Horace asked what made me decide to do the poems. It was a while ago, I can't really remember. I just felt that it was a fair reward. I mean, not much I can give someone over the internet, so something like that's the best. And then Mecha asked, what's your usual process for planning out a strategy? How do I do money allocation, all that things? Essentially, I've done quite a few test playthroughs, so I kind of get the general idea. In general, I try and count. I generally like to use the Nico video playthroughs, turn counts as a base. I mean, I'm not doing full recruitment, but most of the time it's still managed to go faster than me. Just to like see where I lost turn, and I did my playthrough as fast as I could, and then I saw where I lost turns and thought whether it was reasonable for me to be able to cut more turns, or if no, that's probably the best I could do. In a few maps I just had to completely think up new strategies though, like chapters 4 and 5, because I just had to use 11 for everything. And in those cases, it was really just me thinking of, like, I knew what I had to do. I had to cart 11 all over the map, and it was pretty much just me playing a few times to optimize my rescue and dancer positioning and item allocation and all those things. And with item allocation, what really helped me was that I don't have to manage the resources of too many units, because not many are relevant in a 0% growth playthrough. So it was like, after 1 or 2 test playthroughs, I pretty much knew where things needed to be and when, so it was relatively easy for me to manage the money dumps. It's convenient in the first generation that the person who needs money the most for inheritance, Sigurd, happens to be killing a lot of the bosses, so that helps out. But yeah, it's really, for me, I'm less of a planner. I just like to do test playthroughs to just feel the game out and see what I need to do. And it also helped that I had the Nico video playthrough to tutorial on, so when I was trying to have similar strategies, I thought of what do I need on a 0% growth to do what this one is doing. So for instance, like in Chapter 8, I needed to kill a bunch of people, but Celis couldn't do it. So I knew that I worked out that Orphe with a light sword and magic ring could do things. So it's kind of adaptation for that. Onage Puffs asked which map was your favorite to plan for? Definitely Chapter 10. It just had a lot of fun stuff, like a lot of interesting rescue things. The first instance of that prayer abuse, like coming up to Chapter 10 before I thought of using the prayer sword glitch, which I used because I don't think it's anywhere near as game-breaking as the rescue glitch, which is why I decided to give it a free pass. And I mostly just decided that, and I mostly was like, well, I have to lose a bunch of turns to just card Shannon around the map and kill things. But it just felt very good to think of ways and also to, like, neutralize the sleep stabs, even though nobody could deal with them. And, like, even now I'm still thinking about ways. I think there's a small chance that if I want things to be super unreliable, I could actually cut a turn off that chapter. It would require me to... Essentially, I would need to feed a bunch of kills onto the steel sword that Sigurd has, but that wouldn't be hard. After the first 2 chapters, I never really used it again, but got up to like 35 kills. So that would be relatively easy, and I was thinking that if I somehow found a way to get Jan the Pursuit Ring and the High Kill Hero Sword, I could do the same return shenanigans that was done in the Nico video playthrough at the second castle by having her, but anyways, that's an aside. I think there were like maybe 5 turns that could be cut, some with insane RNG abuse, some with minor tactical revisions and planning, but not enough to warrant another playthrough. But anyways, back to the question. Yeah, Fire Emblem 10 just had a lot of fun stuff. There was somehow getting past Rodale, neutralizing the sleep stabs, and then finding a way to somehow deal with the wrong Ritter head on, because I had to. There's no way to go around them. And I felt really good about thinking up the Light Sword Shannon strategy, because normally you don't think of Shannon that way, because his magic is terrible, he has the Balmung, but... And Yojinbo asked, I think this is the final question, why is Fire Emblem 4 the best Fire Emblem game despite its flaws, and why does my run prove it? Essentially, so Fire Emblem 4 is really unbalanced. Like, I would never argue that it's a balanced game, and I feel that in the places where it's good, it's often quite on accident. Like, for instance, I love the pawn shop system, even though it's bad as all hell and terrible game design, but I feel that, so my answer to this is, okay, first of all, I think some of the mechanics in it are just cool and awesome. Like, I love the weapon kills are fun, holy weapons are fun, even if they are really overpowered. I love the castle system. I think the generational system is really good, but a lot of why I like Fire Emblem 4, it'll annoy all the people who really care about low turn counting a lot, but for most of my time playing Fire Emblem, until this playthrough, actually, I was a casual player, and what I really like about Fire Emblem 4 is a lot of it is just atmosphere. Like, the massive maps, the generational tale, the storyline, I love the music, it just... I mean, some of this has waned off because I played it so many times, but the first few times I played this game, it just felt so grand and epic to me, and I really liked that feeling. And I felt that some things like holy weapons and skills and all the imbalances kind of like contributed to that charm. Obviously, from a gameplay standpoint, they were terrible, and the big maps are very rarely well executed. I think Chapter 10, Chapter 3, Chapter 8, and I'd have to think. I think those chapters and the endgame did the big map well, but a lot of the other ones screw up. But I think it's the atmosphere that really kept me coming back to Fire Emblem 4. And also from a gameplay, which, I don't know, isn't going to satisfy a lot of people. It's a highly personal thing. You're either going to love the game or you're going to hate it. And also, another thing that's cool is, I love how in Fire Emblem 4, there are far more diverse ways that units contribute than in the other games. Like, for instance, so I feel that when you compare a game in low turns count, like, let's say, on Super Synchros, like, let's say, Fire Emblem 4 to Fire Emblem 6, Fire Emblem 6, on, like, the GBA games in terms of low turn counting is all about elegant rescue drops and resource management, and I would say that, and you'd think that Fire Emblem 4 was much harder to low turn count because there's more mechanics, but I feel that rescue thing has a far higher skill ceiling than any of the individual mechanics in Fire Emblem 4, but all the individual mechanics, that they may individually be easier to master, create a far greater diversity in terms of what needs to do in the play. So for instance, let's say you were trying to rank the best units in 0% growth, as Don was doing for a while. Where would you put in Fire Emblem 4, there are lots of units that'd be hard to put, like, where would you put a unit like Do? Because he was ranked, like, 3rd, even though he's terrible at combat, and he wasn't a dancer, he wasn't a staff user, he didn't give buffs anymore. It was, like, all his money-giving ability, and like, though there are thieves in other games, it's nowhere near like that. And also a unit like Oifi, where for instance, in Chapter 9 he wasn't contributing to the main fight at all, his level didn't matter, but he still helped a lot by feeding kills onto the light sword to make things easy to chant. Then you have these terrible combat units that are still fast-moving rescue users, you have dancers that are more powerful, you have like, even between two combat units, let's compare Oifi, Alas, and the Celis. Celis was very weak, kind of the ultimate glass cannon with rigging, with his high kill hero sword and stuff. Oifi was a more stable unit with his powerful 2 range who could deal with a wide range of threats, and Alas was kind of a sniper who was also a bit of a glass cannon and couldn't survive much. And when you see, and then you also compare it to Shannon, who has all these unique roles, and when you just think of everything together, you really see that all these small different mechanics, though individually might not take much skill to have, overall they create a very diverse game where units can contribute in a lot more ways than other games. Like, are you a dancer, a staff user, a combat unit, or a rescue bot? So I really feel that it's cool how all the small mechanics like skills and high kill weapons just contribute to create this diversity, with units being able to be useful in unique ways. Things like Daedre's prayer dodging, and I'm just going on and on now, but it's just proving my point. And I think that that's what makes Fire Emblem 4 so cool, that units, there's so many different ways for a unit to contribute. They can be good in so many different ways, even if it is horribly imbalanced. In most units you can find a use for them, and all the complaints about mounts, so they are valid, they are overblown to a bit. I completed the game in 174 turns, which I think most people can agree is very fast, and I managed to use infantry a lot. So that is why Fire Emblem 4 is the best. That was definitely my longest response by far, but anyways, this is really long. I didn't think I'd go on this long, but thank you for following the whole time. I had a great time playing this, and this has definitely convinced me to do another low turn count playthrough. Probably Fire Emblem 5 Warpless, but we'll see. And thanks for following this whole time, and it's been fun. Goodbye.